Hey everyone, how you guys doing? Um, it's really hot right now. We're going through a heat wave in California, and oh my god, I'm sweating like crazy right now. You can probably see my skin just shining. But anyways, I wanted to talk about a lot of emotional experiences I went through lately. Um, a lot happened actually that I think can apply to a lot of people. I mean, to anyone really, even if you're not going through, something like dystonia or, I mean, everyone has anxiety in certain ways. But yeah, I mean, a lot has changed for me, and I mean, I'm not saying I'm like a brand new person or a fixed woman now or anything like that, but um, I think a lot has changed because of my perspective on things. And sorry, my dog is barking. Cody, shut up. Shush. But yeah. So bear with me. Be patient. This might be a little long because I don't know. It's a lot happening. But I want to start from the beginning. I had anxiety for since 2012. It is now 2019. I had anxiety, excruciating anxiety, for I would say 5 years. Because the first 2 years I was having panic attacks and all sorts of things, but um, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like where my life was. I mean, it wasn't as bad as now. And after 2 years, it gotten so bad that I had to quit my job. Finally, I couldn't work. I was on medication. I was having panic attacks 20, 30 times a day. I was having, I started to derealize and disassociate from things, just extreme anxiety. And I honestly don't know at what point I started having dystonia, because during that time, like I think a lot of symptoms of dystonia can be blamed for anxiety too. Tremors and shaking and things like that. So I kind of just thought like, oh, I was having anxiety, whatever. Like I just not until and I just kept myself very tense to stop the tremors and things. And I also thought I was, oh, that's just anxiety. I'm I don't know, whatever. So I really don't know at what point I started having dystonia. But what I do know is I was diagnosed last year. I actually don't remember if it's June or August. I want to say it's August. I was diagnosed finally, after seeing numerous neurologists and things like that. So it's been about a year, roughly a year, 10 months, whatever. And I think how should I tell you guys this? But I mean, I went through a lot of emotional, I think I went through the whole entire like emotional vocabulary. Anger, well, confusion, fear, anger, disappointment, shame, um, isolation, um, desperation. I don't know. I went through the whole entire chart. And honestly, at some point, I mean, last year, I'll say maybe it's really funny because it wasn't that long ago that I wanted to die. I didn't want to live anymore because I didn't have hope. I lost hope. Like, and I think I talked about this in my previous videos that when I had anxiety all these years and I thought it was the worst thing in the world, I never wanted to die because I always in the, deep down, I believed that, hey, I'm gonna recover someday, even though I was living in pure hell. But when I had dystonia, when everything in the world, including specialists and Google, I mean, everything told me that this was going to be my life for the rest of my entire life. The pain, the sufferings, the shame. There's nothing I can do about it. That concept it scared me. It scared me so much. And I just didn't want to live anymore because I couldn't imagine how life would be the next 70 years, or whatever, however age I lived till, living the way I lived then, a few months ago even. And I remember when I went to Canada to see Dr. Farias, which is a specialist in dystonia, because I didn't have a bed. I gave my bed to my parents. So I was sleeping on the couch. I was laying on the couch. And, well, first of all, when I first started having dystonia and just the excruciating pain, I don't know why I was ticking and tremoring, all these things. And that's before I knew I had dystonia. My best friend, I cry every night to my best friend, and I tell him every day that I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live, and I don't know how. I want to die. And he said, I'm in love with you, and if you're going to kill yourself, you have to give me a chance in dating you. Because, I was complaining to him that, oh my God, I'm never going to find a person that understands me, that loves me. I'm going to be single and lonely for the rest of my life. And one of my biggest fear is being alone. Not being alone, but being lonely for the rest of my life. One of my biggest fear is not finding that person that will understand me. And that has been the experience so far. Honestly, I still feel like nobody understands me. Even though, it's just because even when I met people that have dystonia and anxiety, because our experiences are so unique, it's just so difficult for me to describe things that people can't see. What's going on in here and things that, like I get it all the time. People think like, oh, you're disabled? Or what, you're not working? Like, are you sure? Like they think I'm exaggerating. They think I'm playing the system or something. And they don't really see what's happening. And it frustrates me and that's another later story. But once I became content with it, I realized I don't really need anyone to understand. I don't really have to explain to anyone what's happening. I'm forcing people to understand, because as long as I know I was, doing what I can, and that's all really mattered. But this came with later a lot of work. So during that time, I was constantly complaining to him, I just want to die. Like, please, just, the scariest thing in the world was knowing that I had to live like this and not dying. And that was the scariest thing, not dying. And he said, yeah, he's pretty much said, if you're going to kill yourself, you have to give me a chance in dating you. And he made me promise, and I was like, okay, I promise you, if I'm going to kill myself, I will date you, at least. And the fact that I know I am absolutely not attracted to him in any way, I know I would never ever date him in that way. Like, I love him, but I don't love him that way, And for that simple fact, it kept me alive, because I had to keep my promise. If I'm going to kill myself, I had to date him. And I would absolutely never date him. I can't kill myself then, I guess. It's really stupid, but, sometimes you need these things in life when life throws you something that's just really effed up, And I forgot what I was talking about. I'm kind of a little disassociated right now. Things are kind of a blur, but, And it's just so hot right now. My brain is like scrambled egg right now. But, oh yeah, so I was in Canada, and this was actually end of April. Literally, it was, guys, less than 2 months ago. I was laying in bed on the couch in Canada, And I was telling myself, because I felt so hopeless after seeing the doctor. I felt like, oh my God, nothing's gonna change. He doesn't even know what's happening with me. And you guys might have seen that video, when I was crying and just having all sorts of emotional breakdowns. And I told myself, because I needed another reason to stay alive, when he was my last hope, and he was my last hope, and I felt like that hope has just been shut off. And I told myself, I give you till age 40. I'm 32 right now. So I told myself, at age 40, you can die. But you can't right now. You cannot. I gave myself permission to die at age 40. I guess that sort of just stalled things for a little bit because I was in so much pain, emotionally and physically. And just, because a lot of things could happen in 8 years. And shit, a lot of things happen in a month and a half. So, fast forward. If you guys seen my other videos, you know that I have been getting a lot better. But things really didn't start to change until, because even though I was getting better, I still feel really, really tense. And a lot of times I feel like I was literally driving myself insane, like creating these tension in my head. And it's like my head's about to blow up because how tight I was mentally. I was thinking like, I was just like, ah. And I know a lot of my symptoms, a huge part of my symptom was coming from just my brain. What's that word when like when it's produced by your brain? People are like, that are not mentally blind or that are not physically blind become blind because they're mentally, have some blockage and things like that. Like a lot of it was that, like, because it was directly related to stress and anxiety and things like that for me. So I have to thank the last person I was dating. It's kind of crazy because, I was dating here and there, but there was always a reason for me to blame it on them. Like, oh, he wasn't blah, blah, blah. He was never really here to be for me or whatever. There was always something for me to kind of put my failure, I don't want to call it my failure, but whatever didn't work, I blamed it on them, But deep down, I blamed it on myself. I always said, oh, I effed up, it was my anxiety, it was dystonia, it was blah, 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 it was these and that. And I feel like, sorry, someone keep texting me. I felt like a horrible person. I felt like less of a person, I felt like I was not equal to everyone else. But the last person I dated really opened my eyes because I only dated him for about a month. And I loved him. I never told him, but I actually loved him. It's crazy, but... And when we stopped talking, the one thing he told me made me realize. He said, whatever you do, don't think it's your fault. Don't blame it on you. It's not just you. Everyone has their own shit. And I have my own problems. This is not about you. And he really opened my eyes to think, to just realizing that, oh my God, I have always blamed things on me, no matter what it was. And I think that opened the door to a lot more things. Because I always knew that if I wanted to get better, I have to get mentally better too, not just physically. So I always said, oh, I'm gonna love myself, I'm gonna work on myself, and da 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 da. But deep down, I never I never loved myself, and I'm gonna go into why I say these things. But after he said that, it made me realize, oh my God, I was blaming myself. I was saying like, oh wow, I let this perfect person that I love leave my life because dystonia got in the way, anxiety got in the way, and the circumstances got in the way. Like always, I failed again. Blah blah blah, and these negative thoughts just keep playing in my head. And one day how I realized, and then I talked to my friend, and my friend helped me clarify a lot of things too. He told me that, he told me, hey, you should go see a therapist again. And I was like, yeah, I was actually thinking about it, but before, when I saw a therapist, it didn't really help me. And he's like, yeah, you have problem opening up. And, he said, when you see the therapist this time, you have to be crystal clear. You have to tell her how you feel. You can't just beat around the bushes and hoping people will understand, And I took his advice, and I did. And I just was completely honest. I told her how I felt inside, how I felt like I was a monster, how I felt like, I don't know, I felt like a monster a lot of times because of my tics, because how I act differently, think differently, see things differently, what's going on in my head because of dystonia, and I couldn't even look in my dog's eyes without freaking out. Can you guys believe that? I can't have any sort of connections with anything because that's how scared I am. And these things that I just didn't tell anyone because it's so scary, for other people to know how unusual these thoughts are, what I'm going through. Everyone tells you, oh my God, if you're freaking out, anxiety, get a dog. The animal's gonna help you. And I'm sitting here like, I can't look into my dog's eyes. My dog gives me anxiety. Just things that are so out of the ordinary. And I just started being very honest with her. And I guess this led to me just being more honest with myself. And one day I was, and I was laying in bed, and I started missing the person that I was dating. I thought about him. And when you think about someone you love and you start getting these butterflies, you start getting these like really happy feelings, and like just your heart opens up. You literally feel your heart open up. Because a lot of times my heart is just, I feel like this is just closed. Like I can't open up. And I thought to myself, I can love someone. Well, first, I don't know why I was thinking about that. And I was like, what if, his name is Santiago. And I was thinking, what if Santiago was doing the things I was doing? Like, like shaking my head and tremoring. And you guys can't see a lot of my tics and stuff because I'm still, like, when I'm talking or stuff, I hold it back. But if I don't hold it back, it gets a lot worse. But, I was just imagining if he was doing these things, would I still love him? And I was in my mind, I was like, of course I would. Like, would I think any less of him? No, because I have unconditional love for him. And that made me realize I'm not ashamed of him, but yet I can't accept me being this way. I must not love myself. And so I said, this feeling that I have for him, this open-hearted feeling, what if I, instead of thinking about him, what if I think about myself and give myself this feeling? How would I feel? And I try to apply that feeling to just thinking about me and thinking about loving me. I was freaking out. I started crying. My head just won't stop shaking. I was tremoring. My brain was physically, like, it was freaking out. It didn't know what to do because for all my life, I never loved myself. And this is when I realized that I have never ever in my life done something for myself. And I say this in a way where I want you guys to think about your life and things that you're doing. And this may apply to you. I think this applies to a lot of people. When I wake up in the morning, I put on clothes, right? Instead, what's in my head, I think about, if I wear this, what will other people think about me? What do I want to say to other people? What would I want them to think that I am? But I'm still thinking about how they're thinking. And like, it's like for example, like I don't wear nice, like, on a day when I'm like, oh, no one's gonna see what I'm wearing inside, I just throw on some random underwear. But if, obviously, like if I'm on a date or something, or like where I know someone's gonna see it, then I put on something nice. I think we all do that. It's because I feel like it's because I didn't feel the need to like impress myself. Oh, I'm only when someone else is gonna see it, therefore I put on something nice. And my therapist, she said, hey, like, I want you to go back to the basics and start, cook a nice meal for yourself. Don't post it on social media. Don't do any of that, but just do it for yourself. And that changed my life, actually, in a way where I took one night out and I just, sorry guys, my dog is barking like crazy. Hold on. Cody. Okay, guys, sorry, I'm back. So yeah, I took one night out and I just cooked for myself. I cooked like I was on a date with myself and I was trying to impress me, which I never done my entire life. And it just felt so good because, I realized even when I was designing, sketching, I always was aware there's an audience, and I was doing these things. I was putting in effort because I wanted to impress other people. I go on trips. I get a massage when I'm tired, not because I was thinking, what do I need? How do I feel? I want to do this. It's more like people told you, hey, if you feel tired, you should go get a massage. If you feel like, you should go on trips. It's like never have I considered or truly done something like that for myself. And like now when I put on clothes in the morning, I don't think about what this outfit's going to make other people think about me. But I ask myself, what do I want to wear today? How do I want to feel today? And because that's really all it should matter, and just changing the way I think, it just really, it showed me that, I don't know, I guess, it's a skill I have to learn, because it's more and more moments where I really truly start to believe, I can love myself. And then there's moments I'm like, I just still feel so ashamed and damaged. Like, how can I possibly love something so damaged? So it's a lot of internal dialogue, but I do realize that, people always say love overcomes fear. It's true. Because in those moments where I actually feel like I love myself, I don't feel fearful. I'm not scared of anything. It's the moments when I feel closed up. I don't feel like I don't feel like I truly love who I am. I get anxious. I get fearful. I start to doubt who I am. And it, yeah. So, yeah. So I guess I want you guys to take the chance and just think about, what things are you really doing because you're doing it for you, versus what you're doing because you're doing it because you think that's the right thing to do because people told you so, or society has somehow instilled that in you, you know. When's the last time you did something for you? Not because there's an audience. And you know, I constantly bring up that feeling, and what's helped also is I would think about Santiago, and then I would start getting that lovey-dovey feeling, and then I replace him in my mind with me. So I constantly like train myself to learn how to be okay with that feeling of loving who I am. So I imagine loving me, and you know, I'm always freaking out every time I do it because it's scary. My mind doesn't know what to do, but you know, it's getting better and better. And today, I want to say it's a big breakthrough for me because after a year and 7 years of anxiety, and this is the first time out of all these years I have actually accepted that I have dystonia anxiety. The first time. And it feels so... Actually, prior to that, before that, it's these random feelings that just come up. And one day I was walking, and I just get this, you know, it just like hits me, where I started crying, and I was like, I give up. And I told myself, I forgive you, Grace. And this is after I started telling me that I love me. And I said, I forgive you for everything that you think you have fucked up. I forgive you for everything you felt ashamed of. Everything you think you were just such a bad piece of shit, you know? Like that horrible feeling you feel about yourself. I forgive you for all of that. How you think you made you made a fool of yourself, and you just single-handedly messed every good thing up. You blamed everything on you. I forgive you for all of that. I forgive you. And it was that forgiveness for me. I don't know, with that I felt a sudden like release. I just feel like a giant pounds of like rocks that was like lifted off my shoulder, and I didn't have to carry them anymore. It just felt really, really, really good. And I started crying because it's scary to forgive yourself. It's scary to let go of things that you know, couldn't look past, couldn't forgive yourself for. Because we want to hold ourselves accountable for things. And I'm a perfectionist, so that was just so hard to let go. And of course, you know, I don't always feel like that. The next day I wake up, I feel like the old me. So it was another thing to just remind myself that I'm not always going to feel good. I'm not always going to feel these moments. But, you know, the idea is you get these moments more and more, longer and longer. This time could be a minute, I feel good, or I feel like I'm content. Hopefully a year from now or a month from now, I feel 2 minutes, you know, all the time. And just more frequent. And then that's progress. But today, like I said, it was the first fucking time in my life that I finally accepted. I don't know, I was just sitting there in the car driving, and I just like how it hit me that I just forgave myself. It hit me, and I said, I have dystonia. I'm gonna have this for the rest of my life. It's not gonna go anywhere. And that thought just changed everything. I don't know. I just felt so content. Really, this is the first time in my life I felt content. I felt okay where I am. I didn't feel like I needed to rush to go somewhere, to do something, to change something, because my whole life it was never enough. You know, I do one thing, I need to do more, I need to do better. I get one house, I need to get another house. I need to, like, it was always like there needs to be more. For the first time, I feel like I did a good job. I am who I am right now, and that's okay. And I accepted it, Estonia. I accepted that's who I am, and this is me. And feeling of being content is amazing. And you know, I have for the last few months, I mean, ever since I had I was diagnosed with dystonia, and even when I was having anxiety, you know, I was always constantly challenging myself. I keep saying I don't have enough time in the day to do practices, to do exercises, to get better and better and better. I need to get better. I need to get rid of this. Even though I'm saying like, oh yeah, this is something that's going to be with me forever, blah, blah, blah. I didn't believe it. And when I realized that I'm going to have it forever, and when I accepted it, then I realized, what's the point? I have my entire life to work at this. Give myself a break. You don't have to work yourself to death with exercises. And I finally understood when people say, you know, you have to give up to get better. It's not the more I do, the better the sooner I get. You know, I don't even know how to describe it. But yeah. I have to have a life outside of just getting better. I needed more moments of feeling normal, doing things normal people do. You know, I don't know if I'm explaining this the best way, but I started to learn how to enjoy life when life isn't the best. So, yeah, this is a pretty long video. I just wanted to put it out there because I think a lot of people struggles with the same things I struggle with. Self-shame, self-blaming, taking things accountable for things that are not even their fault, you know? A lot of times it's nobody's fault, but yet we like to say it's our fault. We like to, I don't know, take responsibility for some random reason. And start doing things for yourself. Not just say it, because I see my friends do it all the time. I've been doing it my whole life. You know, they say, oh yeah, I'm going to treat myself, I'm going to da-da-da-da, but really they weren't. They're still thinking about, you know, they're either escaping or they're thinking about, you know, they're busy posting on social media because, I don't know, it's hard to explain, guys. But, yeah, I hope this video helps you guys in some ways. Start doing things for yourself, you know? Do what I did. Cook a nice dinner. Don't post it on social media. Only no one there. Don't think about feeding your family. Literally just cook the dinner for you and enjoy it. And just see how it feels to do something just for you, you know, with the intention of just you. Yeah, so I will talk to you guys later. I hope you guys enjoy. And again, remember, a month and a half ago, I was laying on the couch saying that at age 40, I can kill myself. And a month and a half later, I'm here telling you I have finally accepted it. And I know tomorrow I might not feel this way. I might be ashamed and fighting and all these things again. Because it's not going to be, you know, it's something that, part of accepting that this is something that's going to be for the rest of my life. I have to constantly work with it. But I just want you guys to know that things could change in an instant. You can't predict it. If you think whatever happening to you now is permanent, forever, nothing is permanent, nothing's forever, and I kept saying this over and over. Don't be ashamed of what your thoughts are. Don't be ashamed of, I don't know. Just don't be ashamed of you. Um, yeah, don't be ashamed of who you are. Yeah, so good night, and I'll talk to you later.